Shabbat Shalom Mishpacha. This is Rabbi Simon Altaf from North America and the state of Ohio. Good morning to all of you who are listening in. Hopefully I'm coming in loud and clear. I know I don't speak way out loud, but hopefully enough that you can all hear me fine. It's a wonderful day over here. It's nice and sunny, and it's kind of beautiful. There's no wind blowing today. Usually it's a little bit windy in this area, and sometimes it's cold. I mean, the temperatures have dropped a little bit. Surprisingly, in May, we're still kind of getting cold temperatures here. We're not quite the Middle Eastern temperatures that I'm used to over there in the other side of the world, because they are beginning to warm up. I believe today in the East, lockdown is easing in the country of my birth, and a lot of poor people over there, a lot of people are struggling. You know, I was listening to the news over there, and kind of surprisingly shocked to listen to the news that the railways obviously have been shut down, and they were saying, the railway minister was saying that in Pakistan, he was talking about that the railway workers haven't been paid salaries for the last month, and the pensioners, I don't know, they probably have, a couple of million pensioners, and he was talking about the pensioners that if we don't open the railways now, because he wanted to start 32 trains minimum, they normally run 146 a day, and he was saying that if we don't start the trains now, we would have extreme difficulty in paying salaries to our workers and pensions to the pensioners. And he gave a figure, certain hundreds of thousands of dollars that they need every month, or that they are losing every month. I believe it was close to, from what I understood, it's close to about $1 million a month that they are losing by shutting the railway down. And that might be salaries and things of existing people, but that's just one country. And on the other side of the fence, UK, I was looking at the COVID-19 infected people. UK has now surpassed the people of Spain. It has surpassed Italy. It has surpassed France. And Germany was a small amount anyway. Germany was probably the least of these, bigger countries. And I was looking at it like, wow, UK really got hit hard, and they came out pretty bad, in terms of infection rates. So apparently, from what I was reading, is that, I got a website here that tells me this information. If I can find it, what is it? ncov 2019.live. This website is designed by a 17-year-old Jewish young lad. A really good website. It collects information from around the world and presents it in one page. And the United Kingdom is listed as having 211,000 confirmed cases, with 31,241. By the way, that is greater than Italy at 30,000, Spain at 26, greater than France at 26,000, Germany at 7,510, even greater than Brazil, Turkey, all those kind of guys put together in Europe. And of course, Sweden is part of Europe. Sweden doesn't even have close to that number. So from what I read this morning, the UK might be announcing a lockdown, not a lockdown, but announcing a self-quarantine for people that arrive to the UK in planes. So which means practically they're about to kill the air industry, because, if tourists go over there and have to be quarantined by self for 14 days, well, I don't think everybody wants to be stuck in a hotel in a country like that. So I don't think many people will be traveling there as a result of self-quarantining unless you live there. And that's the pathetic part of this whole lockdown. The whole thing is overblown, and the whole thing is proportionately wrong. I personally will give my view that I don't agree with it. It is totally out of proportion and it is totally wrong, because Sweden has already proved, and South Korea, that locking down your country is not the solution. You could have kept your country open. You could have easily isolated people that were vulnerable, and you could have educated your population, and you would have had no lockdowns, and you could have continued like there's no tomorrow, and your economies would have been fine. Now, at the present state, you can look around, the fastest declining economies, recession is looming in most countries, if not already there, and debt is probably going to be at an all-time high. Well, of course, we have the printing machines, and in the stock market, guys, they usually call this money that comes from the government printing press helicopter money. Plenty of helicopter money. They can print dollars, they can print British pounds, they can print francs, French francs, and they can just throw it in the air, and that's your helicopter money for you. But somebody will have to pay for this helicopter money. It's not like it's free money at the end of the day. Hence why I believe that all the countries that went down this road of lockdown are totally, nincompoops, if I can say it. If I was the leader of this nation, I would have never locked down. I don't care what politicians say, because there are other methods to avoiding this kind of virus. And I know that our president, he did it probably, from what I can recollect, under political pressure, and he, likely would have chosen the route of hotspots to be closed. But, his medical advisors, if I can be blunt, or if I can be polite, they're also nincompoops. And, there is a history of his medical advisors, and I don't want to put names to the list, who had misappropriate handling of other things and agenda-based doctrines. So that's in a nutshell the U.S. And we've probably had in proportion, and I don't care about proportions really, let's be honest about it, we had a lot more deaths in New York than anywhere else. Don't talk about proportions to me, because that's just trying to skew the facts. The facts on the ground are that the U.S. has had a lot more deaths in New York compared to everywhere else. Now, even though there was a lockdown in Chicago, places like that, there was still a lot of deaths over there in retrospect, because gangland violence did not decrease, by the way. That was a surprise to me as well when I read that. So, putting conspiracy theories aside, some people, from what I understood, from what I read in some of these online news articles, and the funny thing is this, that most of the online news that turns up from CNN, Fox News, it's all biased, it's all right-wing, left-wing, and it's total baloney half the time. There's a lot of fake news out there, including Fox News is fake news as well. It's no different to CNN, if you ask me the truth. And you would really have to go to news sources outside of this country, or some maybe other news agencies that are not so mainstream, to pick up any real facts on the ground, because they're twisting and turning facts, and 1 minute they're saying one thing, and next minute they're saying something totally different. So you can't really trust news sources that are common out there, like your Fox News, your CNN, and I don't know, Washington Post and New York Post and whatever. All these guys, they write for personal biases. They do not report news based on news. These journalists have personal biases, and I think suffices to say that we as the consumer or the people really should be weary of the news that comes out of these such places, because most of the time they are false and numbers are manipulated. Having said that, I'm not going to put a list of which news sources are corrupt, but you probably know better than me, because you lived in this country longer than I have, and you know better than me that a lot of these news sources are corrupt with a big C. So we heard about the Texas, rampage, the Texas, woman who was jailed, who's a salon owner, and she was freed, I thought it was absolutely preposterous that a woman who's only simply trying to run her business is labeled as a criminal and put behind bars. I mean, what a world to live in. I mean, think about it. This is the world we live in today, where running your business is considered a criminal act, and the governors of states are having more oversight than the president of the country. So it's kind of sad in some ways, but that is the state of things right now. So having said that, it's no surprise, but there you go. I mean, I went to downtown to another local city recently, to Costco, back on Wednesday, I think it was, to look and see if there was any, to purchase some groceries. And I found that their shelves, the meat shelves were practically, there was no beef other than, big joints of beef. There was no smaller cuts of beef. There was no ground beef at all. And there was no poultry. None whatsoever. Not chickens, not wings, no nothing. And I was like, wow, Costco having none of these items. And the only thing you could find is turkey breast and maybe a few, couple of joints of beef that, if you could afford to pay for, extortionate prices, then you're welcome to have those. So, I was having a chat with Rabbi Kefa, and Kefa was updating me that the people that supply these guys may be the Smithfield meat processors, and they were shut down due to coronavirus and stuff like that, and so maybe that's why there was a shortage. But I went to the Arabs. After that, I decided to visit the Arabs store, and lo and behold, they had beef, they had chicken, they had ground beef, they had lamb, they had everything. And it reminded me of the scripture in the book of Genesis that, it said that Abraham's sons, they will be blessed. It said Ishmael will be blessed also. And I thought to myself, wow, God never tells lies. This is the truth. Look at Ishmael's sons, and look at Japheth's sons. Japheth's sons are carving for meat, and Shem's sons, Ishmael's sons, Jacob's sons, the Jews, have the meat. You could go and find meat there. So amazing. It was amazing that you see this kind of thing, that in these stores, and of course, they probably have different suppliers of meat, maybe local, and that's probably why, but whatever the reason, anyhow, the point being that this is, a interesting time to see what's going on around you, and you hear one thing on the news and you see another thing in the real life. So very, very interesting facts on the ground. And for you, Saint Losta, whoever you are, I think you look like one of those racist people who like to be racist against other kinds of people. And we do not accept that over here. So kindly remove this person, please, from the list. Because I don't want to be in the midst of people that are racist and discriminatory against, Arabs or immigrants of any variety. And I don't care who they are, and we are here, people that are created by the God of Israel. Thank you for that, Rabbi Zachariah. The God of Israel created everybody equal, man and woman, of irrespective of color, black, white, yellow, light brown, dark brown. He did not say, oh, well, that guy is Arab and hate him, and that guy is, African and hate him. He did not teach us that, so we cannot accept that in our room, because that would be just, giving room to racists and so on and so forth kind of people that I do not definitely espouse to. And so, having said that, today our Pasha is Emor Lev, Pasha 31. And I'd like to go there a little bit in the Abrahamic-Faith Bible and just read a little bit from there. And I saw something really interesting there. And it says, and Yahweh said to Moshe, this is in the book of Leviticus, chapter 21, verse 1. And Yahweh said to Musa, speak to the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron, and say to them, they shall none be defiled for the dead among his people, but for his kin that is near to him, and that is for his mother, for his father, for his son, for his daughter, for his brother, for his sister, a virgin that is near to him. Now, which has had no husband. So I found something interesting. It said, for her may he be defiled. Now the interesting thing I saw is this. This may not occur to many other readings, but listen to this reading. So the people that are mentioned, mother, father. So we got a female, male, son, daughter, male, female, brother, sister, male, female. So meaning what? Meaning that these are pairs, that the book of Leviticus is pairing people together and saying that for such and such and such people, the priesthood, those that are the sons of Aaron. Remember, this only applies to the sons of Aaron. This does not apply to all the Levites, because there are many Levites that are not the sons of Aaron. So it applies to the sons of Aaron's that are his generation, and down the line, they're not permitted to do that. Includes me, by the way, in that list. So having said that, it's very appropriate and very interesting. And what popped up for me was that these people are pairs. They are pairs. They are the list of pairs of people that you're not permitted to be in a funeral, etc. And I was like, wow, but that gave me the spiritual connection. So you might say, well, what the heck, what is the spiritual connection with this? How come God doesn't want you to attend the funeral of your auntie, your uncle, maybe your cousins that you really love, and so on and so forth? Well, the spiritual connection is this, because there is a spiritual connection here, and there is a practically, when we had the tabernacle, when we had the temple, of course, if you are a Kohen in the gate, you are a son of Aaron, then that means you're a very, very important person, because it calls him the chief of your people. It means that you're very important, that you're needed in the temple or in the service, and if you got defiled from a graveyard, you would be under lockdown for 7 days. Yes, that did happen in the past. If a priest got himself defiled, he would have to be self-quarantined for 7 days, because he couldn't take that uncleanness. It's like the coronavirus. He couldn't take it to the temple and give it to other people, because just by him being there, if he went to the temple and him being in the vicinity, in that room, in that yard or the courtyard, everybody there would be defiled by default for 7 days. Now, of course, it's not a sin to be defiled, but the problem was that God did not want defiled people to be there, because God's Spirit or God's Shekinah, the glory of God, would descend down into that area. And, we don't know the reasons, and I can't tell you exactly the reasons why, although I have my opinions of it, is why God's glory could not come into contact with the unclean. Because remember, defiled simply is another term for ritually unclean. And anybody can be ritually unclean. It's not a sin. It's not wrong in any particular way. And there's nothing particularly wrong with it. But it will put you out of service. And if you only had, let's say, if you only had 6 descendants of Aaron there, then I guess if 3 of them happen to become, I don't know, ritually impure, but you only left with 3. So how are you not going to run all the services that run over there? That was it's basically a logistical issue. But behind this logistical issue, more so, and I think I want you to be aware of this, and you will realize that it doesn't matter if you're a Muslim, it doesn't matter if you're a Jew, it doesn't matter if you're a Christian, Hindu, or whatever, because our holy books, and I'm talking about now particularly the Jews, our particular holy books define the art of the perfect law, manifesting law, and we are given that. Now, having said that, the Muslim book, the Holy Quran, has it too. It also has some information that is regards manifesting, but also the Bhagavad Gita, the Hindu scriptures, their holy books also have it. So, and the so-called Christian scriptures, the New Testament has it too. So the point being, a lot of the source of this, one could say, well, the Hindu scriptures are older in terms of date, but not older in terms of geographical records, because as far as the records are concerned, we have older records for the Hebrew Bible, and the Hindu scriptures, although date prior to the Hebrew Bible, but their records are not as old. In other words, their manuscripts are not as old in geography, because they might be late. Let's just say, for argument's sake, as a summary, maybe they are late, 1st century, 2nd century, or maybe 500 BCE, etc., things like that. But we have, some of our scriptures that go to 150, 200 BCE, and theirs are probably later than that, to say. And I'm talking about the writing, the copies that they maintain. So, but their actual scriptures, they go prior to our ones. They go further back in terms of historical belief system, because their belief system existed in Egypt, and our forefathers lived under that system. And prior to that, when Abraham came into the land of Israel, prior to that, his ancestors came from India as well. So that means that they lived under that system, under that religious system for a long time. And because you see, you got to understand the idea behind it. The one thing I found really fascinating, in my different readings, was this: that you note that in our holy scriptures, God never calls these nations by wild names. God might say, such and such person worships such and such God. Like, might give a description of Dagon, the god of the Philistines, or might give a description of, say, worshippers of another god in the Torah. But God never uses a term like today, if you were with Muslims will say, oh, that man is a kafir, he is an infidel. But God never calls them infidels in the Bible. These people who worship different gods are never termed infidels. And having said that term infidel probably developed out of the Arab lands and spread out. So, but the interesting point is this, that it's never used in the scriptures. So one might remember that also in the scriptures, we were never commanded as a people of the book or books to go out and proselytize people. You note that? We are nowhere been commanded in our scriptures to say, go and proselytize this nation and bring them into the fold. This typical, in quote, Christianity does this today and has been doing it for 2,000 years. They want to go out and convert everybody to some denomination out of the 38,000 plus denominations to make you a Christian of some type. But we're never commanded to do that. And for Christians, everybody that is not Christian of some kind, they are unsaved and they are going to hell. You hear that a lot from churches, that Jesus saves them and they are under the blood, which is actually prohibited in the Torah. It is prohibited to be under anybody's blood. So, but the Christians are having a feast with blood, spiritual blood, so to speak. They're always going under the blood and they're always speaking about the blood. And we are prohibited from eating and being under any kind of blood, which is kind of obviously the verse. And even though the New Testament does not call people infidels or things of that nature, but Christianity's religious system does. And I guess that's where the Muslims pick it up and they do the same, and so on and so forth. So you have these two religions today are probably the most proselytizing religions out there. But you find that are we going around knocking on people's doors? I mean, Rabbi Kefa, when was the last time that you were told by me to knock on people's doors? I can tell you it was never. It never happened, and it'll never happen. So we don't need to go take our wonderful faith, our wonderful way of life, and just, dish it out to people like candy. We don't need to do that, because the whole idea is for us to live our life under Torah and practice the ways and execute the principles. If you're simply looking for ritual, then of course there's many rituals that, Rabbinic Judaism teaches you. Then you might as well join one of the religious, ritual camps of the Rabbinic Judaism, and there are many. There's Chabad, there's, Reconstructionist Judaism, there's the other liberal Judaism, there is Karaite group, and there's so on and so forth. There's many groups that you can join. If you want ritual, in quotes, many groups do rituals. We don't. We teach what kind of rituals can be done in our Siddur. You'll find those. What kind of rituals can be done if some people want to do them, but overall the Torah does not teach a ritual-based religion, because we don't have a religion. That's the problem for many people. So many people, they love rituals. They love to stand there and shake their head or shuffle back and forth, and they think that's going to give them something, some kind of spirituality. The reality is this: as some of you are mature and wise, that's not the case. It doesn't give you no spirituality. So when God said to Aaron's sons here and saying to them that do not go near the dead, and because you'll become defiled, guess what? And now I'm not being disrespectful to people for their beliefs. They can have their beliefs for sure, and I'm happy about it. But think about it. These people are dead. Technically, and I'm speaking from a software engineer point of view, that these people are technically dead and defiled. Why? Because guess what? They all have the ability. They're all created by the same God as you and me. But maybe they don't know, maybe they don't acknowledge it, or maybe they don't practice what that God teaches. Meaning that they don't know how to practice a perfect law, and they don't know how to receive the blessings that can come as a result of it. So therefore, maybe no fault of their own, and I'm not putting a blame on anybody. I'm just saying that from a spiritual perspective and from a software engineer perspective, in quotes, these people are technically dead, because you all have the ability to practice the perfect law. And of course, when you read the perfect law, when you understand it, you become more affluent with it, and you become more proficient, and you can manifest much faster than otherwise, and your life will never be the same. You will never look at another church again if you did this. But having said that, if you are a churchgoer, you could be standing by the altar, and praying to Jesus, and nothing ever changes in your life. And Rabbi Kefa always talks about the incidents where he was with the Catholics, and he would do the rosary, Hail Marys, and he will go in his closet, he'll close his room door, and he understood closet meant to close his room door and start practicing his rosary. And yes, that was something that he was taught as a child, and he did that, but nothing ever changed. So until he came to the perfect law, then things really started to make sense, and then he understood what going into the closet meant. And what is a closet? Opposed to what he was taught is definitely not what most people think. So with that, he started to apply the principles, and he can tell you about it, and he has many times said this over here, that he has a wonderful life, beautiful life with his family, his wife and his daughter and his son, and it's an experience that he would not be without. He attributes that to, of course, he followed me. He listened to the advices I gave him. He put them to execution, and then he practiced, and then he continued to apply, and he continued to be persistent. It took a few years. It wasn't something that came in 1 year. It took several years. But now that he's arrived, he's very happy, and he knows that the methods that he was taught work, and they could be passed on to his children, to his friends, to his neighbors, to anybody he desires to pass them on to. So or family members, because they are practical and they work. Now, some of the people that I come across that had difficulty, I term the Walking Dead, just out of, as an acronym, not necessarily because I hate them in any particular way. I don't. I just say Walking Dead because a lot of people are walking dead, and the Walking Dead don't get anywhere because no application, no execution, and no principle. So they don't know the principle, they don't know the execution, and they don't know what to do. And I wrote a book to help people, and the book was called the law of attraction versus the perfect law. Now, I wrote that book practically for anybody to read and get some good understanding and apply the principles. Now, I am in the process of writing another book, and it's on my desk, and sometimes I write about 3 lines of text and I leave it. And I was looking at it this morning, how much have I written, and I've written about 37 pages, and it's about, I'm on the 4th chapter somewhere, but I tell you, I just had a cursory, actually it's the 6th chapter, I had a cursory look at the book's information, and I was like, wow, I was saying to myself that you really put down some fantastic information here for people to practice, and this book will be the sum total of what you can achieve and what you are missing. And it doesn't just talk about, the how and the why and this, that, and the other, which is, to me, right, is just noise. I don't talk about the noise. I talk in the book about what works and what does not work, and that's what people really need. Because, you don't need me to tell you that, hey, stand over there and do this 10 times, and you don't know if it's being tested or if it works. Because if I tell you stand over there in the corner and shake your hands 10 times or shake your head 10 times, and if it doesn't work, what's the point? You see, so in this book I tell you what standing in the corner and shaking your head gives you versus, standing facing the east and doing something. Which one works? And I talk about Feng Shui. There are things in Feng Shui that people do and they don't work either. So I speak about personal experience, I speak about my students' experience, and I speak about things that have worked and things that don't work. And I think this is what is needed out there. This will be the next step. Give me a moment, excuse me. So the point is this, that there's no point writing a book that is about 500 pages long. And I've written prophecy books, right, that are 500 pages long, and I had to cut them down because there were too many pages, and I cut it down to 300, 400, then to 300, then to 250, and I almost removed half the book, trying to make it concise in my past books because they were so big. And they did help a lot of people understand biblical prophecy. But now that I'm writing about the succinct method of the perfect law, it's no point writing about everything and the why and the how. There's no need for that. All you really need to know is what works, how to put it into practice, and how to reap the rewards and the results. And that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe this will be a 100-page book if I can get there. I'm having a hard time getting to 100 pages. I've already only done 38 pages. And 38 pages are chock-a-block of information that is absolutely fantastic, if you ask me. If I was receiving this book, if somebody had given me this book at, 12 years old, I'd probably been a multi-billionaire by now. I would have done that, But having said that, it is not impossible for any of you to claim that title to have a multi-billion-dollar business. It's absolutely not impossible to do that. Because once you apply the information, you can be that person too. I think like Rabbi Kefa was saying to me that they're throwing the number trillion around like it's just loose change. I was saying, yeah, nowadays the government officials are throwing the number trillion. They're saying, trillion, they put $2 trillion, $4 trillion, and I'm saying that they're throwing the word trillion around like it's only a loose change. Whilst, $1 trillion is a lot of money. But having said that, it's thrown around in politics like it's nothing. So this is why I was saying that, maybe people should be saying aspiring to becoming a trillionaire, not a billionaire. But having said that, yes, it's possible. that you could have a business that goes into trillions, right? Because, I mean, look at Apple. Apple is a huge company, and they're probably worth, maybe they are worth $1 trillion. Who knows? Because they've got a lot of shares that are sold at 300 a pop. They might be worth a bit of money. So this is what I mean, right? Is there are, from what I understand, there are $1 trillion companies, oil companies. Like, you know, when oil was at $50, $60 a barrel, some companies like Aramco would have probably been worth in the trillions of dollars. So, but now I kind of I'll have to guess that at what, 15, at $10, $12, 15, because it's continuously moving at between $12 and $15 a barrel. I mean, oil is in a glut and so cheap, and now that company may not be worth $1 trillion or whatever trillions it was at the time. So a lot of, you know, people are going to be facing hard times, recessions, and so on and so forth. But listen to this. For you, Mishpacha, for you, the family, there is no recession. You got it in your hand, and you can mold your life according to your desire. I mean, isn't that fantastic? I mean, how many people can say that for themselves? That they can mold their lives according to their desire. No recession for you, but there's a recession for everybody else. So think about that for a second. You can write the job you want. You can write the type of home you live in. You can even write about the type of car you want to drive. And I'll go so far as to say the type of wife you desire to have. You can write about her or a husband. So this is the power of the perfect law. And it's not some stupid ritual, you know, like, you know, hey, you know, go to this place 10 times a day and then you get it. No, it's very simple. You could operate simply out of your house, you know, out of your office, out of your house, and you could get the desires that you want. That's the power that I am actually unleashing, that I have been teaching my students to receive. And, you know, I see people all over the world that are desperate and in need. You know, I speak to families, and there are desperate families, and I guess I've been accused of attracting poor people to myself, and I'm okay with that. Maybe I do, and I'm okay with it, perfectly fine, because as a Kohen, I attract everybody to myself, rich and poor, and so that's no problem. Having said that, you know, I read about families, and I don't say just read. I heard about families last week, people that had only water to drink, no food in their houses. Now, to some people that might be, well, you know, who cares? You know, they don't have any food. Why should I care? But you know, some of us do care. Some of us do have feelings, and some of us don't. So, where I can help, I will definitely help. And where I can't help, then of course I can't help. You know, if I don't have the means to do something, then I'm constrained not to be able to help. But if I have the means, then I will assist where I can. And I don't look at the color. I don't look at the religion. I don't look at the, you know, whys. You know, why should I help that person is a Christian, or that person is a Muslim, or that person is a Hindu? I don't have any of that in my psychology, and I've never had it, and I never will have it. So this is just me, and sadly, you know, governments have not been able to come up with stimulus, I guess, you know, packages for their people all over the world. We were fortunate in America that they did help the people here to one stimulus check. And, you know, some of the Europeans are fortunate that they're getting assistance from the European governments, 80% for their furlough, you know, employees, and that's, you know, and then 20% by the employer. And, you know, I was reading about, this morning it just came, the natural news guy, what's his name? Mike Adams, he's in Texas. Rabbi Kefa might know him, natural news, who sells herbs and things. And he was writing about that his warehouse has lost 1/3 of the people because they have decided to leave the job. He hasn't fired them. They decided to leave the job and apply for Social Security because they get more pay being at home and then working. Something to that effect. So because the government or the local state government is paying more money for people to stay at home than to work, and I guess some people have decided to do just that. And so his feeling was that this action is going to lead to anarchy and to destruction of the economy. Now, I don't know about that, and I don't know if I agree with everything that Mike Adams writes, but I personally don't think it's going to lead to anarchy, and I personally don't think it's going to lead to destruction of the economy either. But that's just my view against his, I guess. And everybody has their opinions. But having said that, I do see the point that if people are going to get more money staying in the house, then of course they're going to say, hey, if I can spend time with my family and don't have to work, then yeah, I'll get a better money from the Social Security. I'll take that option. But that option is not forever. It's a temporary option. It's not something that you can live forever and do, because if you're a skilled person, and I personally don't think any skilled person would take that option. If you're an engineer, you will never take that option, because if you stayed in the home for 9 months and Social Security paid you the money, or 1 year even, your skills will be out of date. So as an engineer or as a professional, maybe a nurse, maybe a doctor, you would definitely not take that route to adopt that kind of lifestyle, even if the money is better in the house. So because people want to work and people want to provide for their families, and people want to be up to date in whatever profession, like skilled profession like lawyers, electricians, I guess, engineers, nurses. These people have to keep up with their qualifications and with latest technology that arrives in their places of work. So that's basically what's going down. And again, a lot of people have different opinions on the matter, and they have different ideologies. But like I said, right, we people, the people of the books, we have the horse is, as you say, the horse is to drive the horse, and you're in the saddle, and you can drive your horse to where you want to. You have that power, and that power has been unleashed for you, and you have the ability to design your job to how much salary you want, everything you can have. But you have to be persistent, and you have to execute the plan. And if you don't execute, and you just want to sit there and laze under the sun, then of course you can't blame anybody for not receiving the results. So I would say always encourage you to execute the plan in order to receive the results. I always encourage you, and I will say this, it's very, very important for you to meditate every morning, every day. Meditate. At least, even if you do it for 10 minutes, spend some time meditating, because it helps your day, it helps yourself, your day, your body. It's good for many things, and it will give you a good start to your day. So make a practice of meditating every day, and then make a practice of your visualization techniques, in the first thing in the morning. If you're a daily worker, like you work, 8 o'clock job or 7 o'clock job, then it's best way for you is to do the morning visualization when you are the most potent, when your body is in the right state, an alpha state, and is the most potent state to act out that which you're desiring. So highly encourage you to do your visualization techniques first thing in the morning, straight after meditating. First meditation, then the visualization. Imagination. Imagination is king if you do it correctly. Now, a lot of times people say imagination is king, but they don't teach you how to do it. So you've got to do it right. And that's where most people fail. Most people fail because they don't know how to do it correctly. And hopefully I've given examples in my previous book, and I've given examples throughout my teachings, and I give examples that in order to manifest anything, you have to do the imagination right. And your writing, your affirmation, your list that you create, it must be worded correctly in order for that list to come into your life, because when you're planting a seed, just like having a child, it has different gestation period. And that gestation period depends on what kind of manifestation you're requiring. Depending on whether it's complex, simple, there is no timeline attached to anything. If you write down that you want to be a millionaire, or if you write down that you want to be a lottery winner, then there's no time attached to it. But the gestation period depends upon you, the doer, and how you do it. And so that determines when it comes in. So based on that, you can, some people get it earlier than others because depending on your method. Method is very important. For me, as an engineer, method is important. And I've been trying to learn for myself and teach others what is the best method. So I have to go through, testing, and I have to go through trialing, and then I have to see, and it takes a long time. People think that I could just sit over here and give you everything in a plate. It doesn't work like that, but the way it works is I have to test something for 1 year, and then I have to, out of that test, I'll be able to say, well, this didn't work, this didn't work, this didn't work, and this one worked. So imagine the things that didn't work. Now I have to retest them under a different scenario, whether they work or not. And Rabbi Kefa understands what I'm talking about, because just for you to write, I have received $1 million, it may not work for you that particular way. So there are different mutations of how to put it into execution. And the ignorant might say, well, you didn't receive it yet. Well, how do you know I didn't receive it? Because it's in the motion. So, so don't be so ignorant of telling me that I didn't receive it when it will come. And it is coming. But because if something is in motion, we can't really say to somebody, hey, you didn't get it, because they may get it as well. But it depends on the speed of that method, because if somebody just says, I am a millionaire, I'm not going to say to them, you are not a millionaire, because they're telling themselves that they are, and they are. In their world, in their imagination, they are a millionaire, and they will become a millionaire. Now, whether it takes them 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 12 years to get there, who am I to critique somebody, say that you can't be a millionaire? Because they will get there, because their method is correct, their seed is already in the ground, is fertilized, is growing, and it can come to fruition any time from the moment they did it to the moment they received the money in the bank. So it would be very wrong for me to say to them, hey, you're not going to be. I can't say that, to be honest, legitimately. I might say that from being critical of somebody, but that would be wrong still, because if somebody is writing the correct affirmation, and that there's no reason for them not to receive that within a set amount of time that they know. And I'm saying when I say a set amount of time, let me give you a decade. How about 10 years? Are you telling me that somebody who writes, I am a millionaire, can't be a millionaire in 10 years? And if you got to be a millionaire in 10 years, my goodness, jolly, you did great. Because if you worked a salary of $30,000, $50,000, and you had to pay your loan, your mortgage loan, your bills, you'd never be able to save $1 million in 10 years. But if you suddenly, you were doing, I'm a millionaire every day, religiously, and, executing the plan, and it took you 10 years to get there, Baruch Hashem, Yahweh, you did great. You got $1 million, and maybe better. So there are people like that. So don't ever say to somebody, never equals never. No, they may be already in the process of manifesting. And so we cannot discourage people like that. Like somebody said, I am the winner of their state lottery. I can't turn around and say to them, hey, you're never going to win the state lottery, because they can. And they will, because they're continuing to execute that plan. Now, what I could do to help those people is to tell them the best way to write that affirmation and what else to do with it. Because there are other things that you can do, like, there is tuning of the chakras. There is activation of the chakras. Sometimes people's chakras are blocked and they need to be activated. They need to be balanced. They might be out of balance. And those are the things that I haven't spoken about publicly. See, there's a lot under my belt. The Kohen has got everything, going for him, and he's got a lot of things moving in different parts, different motions. And I've got a lot of testing going. So when I speak, I don't just speak from the hip. I'm actually testing things, and I have been testing for the last 2 years now. It's easy to just criticize somebody, but they don't know the amount of time I spend testing things out. And, people have accused me of witchcraft, and they have accused me of all sorts of other things, but I'm still going to continue testing, and I'm going to still continue proving, because that's where, it takes time. There was one method that I tested, like I spoke about, the 55-5. I tested that method in 2019. I actually practically wrote every day 5 times for 55 days. Then I wrote every day, for 66 days. And I put that in my book that those 2 methods don't work. Then I wrote for 44 days, don't work. 33 days, don't work. And so on and so forth. So my point, now you start adding the days up. Add 55 days, add 44 days, add 33 days, add 66 days. How many days you got? And how long did that take me to test those 4 items out? And you'll understand, you begin to appreciate that things that I've been testing and that don't work, they will save you many, many days and many, many years of lost potential. That's what people don't realize, because they're ignorant. They're ignorant that the time that I have spent and wasted, maybe it's wasted time for somebody else, is like, Thomas Edison, when he created the bulb, he tried 1,000 different ways and it didn't work. Until he arrived at the point where I'm sitting in his state, and I'm not sitting too far away from Thomas Edison's, home. I even went there. It's so close over here. And, he tried 1,000 different ways, and they said, oh, he failed 1,000 times. Critics said he failed 1,000 times. But Thomas Edison said, I tried 1,000 different ways, and finally I found the way it works. And same way, Rabbi Simon Al-Tefa Cohen is going to try 10,000 different ways. And the way that works, I will present to you. Even if it takes me 20 years of my life to do it, I will do it, and I will prove it, that it works. But I will give you a methodical method that is systematically tested and that is proven, and I'm not charging you for it. That's a bit on top. So hence why when I give you something, it's not just, just do this and get on with it. No, I give you something that has worked as a method in somebody else's life or my life, and that you can take home and you can, apply it with confidence. That's the difference between my teaching and somebody else's teaching, who says to you, just do tapping, and just do the tapping and it will give you $50,000. And I've tested tapping, and tapping does not work. No $50,000. I tested it for myself, it didn't work, and I wrote it down as tested, failed. So don't waste your time tapping, and don't listen to the internet videos that say tap, 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 and you're going to get, $100,000, because it doesn't work. So again, everything is down to that. For me, before I present any information, I have to test it. I have to then present it to you in a methodical manner that's easy to apply, that's easy to receive things. I can't just say to you, hey, do this, and you do it for 6 months or 8 months or a year, and you come back with say, I didn't get any result. Then of course the fault comes back to me. I'm the one at fault because I didn't teach you correctly and I didn't test it. And then how could I even say to you, do it this way? Because when I don't know even if it works. That's exactly a question that a student of mine asked me from Australia. How can I take something to my grandchild and say to them, do this and it will work for you? How can I do that? And I said, you're absolutely right. So you would have to take something that works to your grandchild and say, I've applied this, and I know my teacher applied it in their life, and this has worked. Now you can take it to the bank. And that's something you can teach to your grandchild. So God, who is within you, you can't just sell God and say to everybody, hey, God is within you, go do this and it will work. For many people, it just simply don't work. Because there are other issues that have to be dealt with. Like I just spoke about. Cleaning your chakras, balancing your body, balancing the chakras. And we have 114 major chakras of the body. 112 of those chakras are internal to our body and 2 are external. So out of those 112 chakras that are major chakras, or the 114 I should say, out of those 7 chakras are particularly very important to us. And if we don't balance those chakras, then we can get different results based on that. Then we can't sit around and blame everybody else and say that's your fault or you are no good, or you have to look at self. People have limiting beliefs. Some people have grown up with the belief that they can't have money or money is evil. So you have to get rid of those limiting beliefs in order for those people to get anywhere in life. Because if you don't get rid of the limiting belief, well, guess what? That person remains poor for the rest of their life. So removing limiting beliefs is an important criteria to manifesting riches in your life. And I'm not saying everybody, but some people are born with families, with parents who continue to put them down, and they continue to tell them that you'll be worthless and you'll be good for nothing, and you've never earned a cent in your life. You hear those things, and they are common in many people's homes. And children are brought up with that, and they have got limiting beliefs from their parents. So those limiting beliefs have to be overcome. And so the whole idea of a new manuscript, this new book that I'm trying to write, Bullseye, that's I guess the title of the book, The Law of Manifestation. So that book's whole idea is to go past that hurdle so that people can. And so rather than walking like zombies, everybody is alive, but everybody's not really alive, are they? Because if you're just alive and breathing air and not producing the results that you desire in your life, then you're a walking zombie. So would you rather be a walking zombie or somebody who's living? Jacob, in our holy books is written that Jacob, for 19 years of his life or so, he was walking zombie. He was a walking zombie because he was just moaning and he was just groaning about losing his son, Joseph. And it was the day that he found Joseph. The Bible says he had no Holy Spirit. There was no Spirit about him. He did not have prophecy. God did not visit him during that time. So if you think God's going to visit you when you're moaning and groaning and complaining, guess what? God is not going to visit you. Even God is within you won't visit you. So 19 years is not a small time. It's nearly 2 decades. And so our forefather, he did that. He did that mistake. And Scripture tells us, why does Scripture tell us that Jacob came alive when it was with Pharaoh? When he heard about his son being alive in Egypt, it says he came alive. Oh, now the Holy Spirit, the power of God, the Spirit of God can dwell within him. It had left him. So this idea that you can just believe and receive is not true, meaning that there are other mechanical parts to it that have to be true. So one mechanical part is that don't live a miserable life for a start. Don't be miserable. And don't just, live there like our forefather Jacob did, like a death life, like a zombie for 19 years and then suddenly come alive after 19. Oh, my son is alive. Doesn't matter if your son is alive or dead. You should have been still alive. You should have still been living for your other children. But he didn't do that. See, that's a fundamental mistake. And not something good to write about and not something good to say about Jacob, but it is, these are the ancient facts. This is what happened. And God doesn't shy away from writing it. Moses didn't shy from writing it. So why would I be shy from saying it? Yeah, he made a mistake. He made a mistake. He did that. But after he, came out, and Scripture says now he was living when he heard about his son. So don't live like that. All of you don't live like that. Don't live like a zombie. And don't, have this fake smile on your face. Put a real smile and be happy about your life. And know that you can receive everything in life. Everything you desire is yours for the asking. All I ask you to do is practice, practice, practice. And you will receive it. So with that, I leave you. I wish you a great Shabbat. Happy week ahead. Baruch Hashem Yahweh, look after yourselves. And the coronavirus will not touch you. Because we are the people of the book. And God is our protection. And other than that, we take our precautions. and we live our life, and we'll be grateful every day. Baruch Shem Yahweh. Todah, and over to you, Rabbi Kefa.
Todah Rabbi HaKohen. Todah Rabbi HaKohen. I give you many thanks always. I'm forever indebted and give thanks to you forever. My brother from the same mother, and my Kohen in the gate. I don't say that to be selfish, but he's my Kohen, just like he's your Kohen as well. Or he should be your Kohen. I mean, if that's what you desire for yourself. It may not be your desire to have a Kohen, because there's a lot of people out here who don't have a Kohen. So, yeah, Todah Rabbi HaKohen for your guidance and your instruction and your direction, because it, just like HaKohen told you, it has truly benefited my life, and it continues to benefit and bless my life. Now, here's a question that I have for you this day. And before I get started, Simha, you're in the room. Simha, your package is on the way. Yeah, Todah Rabbi for your support, and Todah Rabbi for your positive energy. Your package is on the way, Simha. Also, I would like to wish all the mothers out there happy day. Tomorrow is Mother's Day. Here on the Gregorian calendar here in North America, happy Mother's Day. Is anybody a mother in the room? Put up a capital M if you're a mother, or you desire to be a mother. Put up an M as well, because that's important. Don't just sit and say, well, Rabbi Kefa, I don't have any children. If you desire to have children, and you are affirming children, put up them as well, because this pertains to you as well. I'd like to wish all of you happy Mother's Day. I really continue to understand mothers on a deeper level. Adelia says, Shabbat Shalom. I received news that I will receive my stimulus. It's on the way today. Baruch Hashem. Indeed, stimulus package coming your way. Use it wisely. Use it on what you desire for yourself, and and what you affirm for yourself. Because you know what? Stimulus to one person may be truly a blessing to another. Truly a station, truly a marker meant. Think about that. To drop all the M's. To drop all the M's that were put up. Wish you all a happy Mother's Day. In my world, every day is Mother's Day, though, just to let you know. Every day is Mother's Day. I don't single out one day and call it Mother's Day, but I say every day is Mother's Day, Baruch Hashem. Because I truly have. And in my evolution of understanding and continue to understand mothers, after seeing the birth of my first newborn son from my wife, seeing that, Mishpah, how many of you men in the room would say you definitely have a higher respect for mothers, right? I know I do. I tell you, before I thought I respected and loved my mother, but after seeing the birth of my son, and my wife, I'll tell you, it's like, my goodness, my eyes got, bigger than Bernie Mac. God rest his soul. But, my eyes got really big. And I tell you, I now, my goodness, mothers, happy Mother's Day to all of you mothers out there. Because it takes a lot. You guys do some things that I think I could never do. I'm telling you, seeing the birth of my son, Nakshan, I'm telling you, you guys are truly special. And you're so special. You let the weak say you're strong. Yeah, you may be considered a weaker vessel, but I see you as the strength of Israel, as the strength of the world, as the strength of the earth. By the way, what do we call the earth? Don't we call her Mother Earth? Think about that for a minute. Meditate on that. And I'm telling you, if you don't respect a woman or women or a mother, then maybe, these statements that I'm making right now will help you, will truly help you have a high respect for women in general. And for you single ladies out there, for you too as well, that men need to respect and honor you just as much. Well, because one day too, you will be a mother. But I tell you, there's a big difference between a woman and a lady. I think we had this discussion way back when. So my desire was to take some time out and to just really, acknowledge and honor you mothers. Listening to here in this room, and just truly tell you, you are truly respected and honored in our family, the family of Jacob. You will always be. And if you feel like you're not sometimes, please let us know. Because sometimes I'll tell you one thing about men. Sometimes, you know, we get so boggled down with everything that's on our plate. Our plate is loaded up with many different things that sometimes we kind of, you know, misappropriate our funds. And our funds meaning not just physical or monetary funds, but, you know, the funds of our love, the funds of our team. Sometimes that can get misplaced. So every now and then, men need to be put in check. And so, and it's a woman's role to really help us, because how many of you men in this room, you take heed to the advice of a woman or your wife? Capital W if you do that. If you actually heed the advice and the instruction, or you at least take it in on making a decision of your wife. Capital W, is anybody in the room? Tadar Rabah, you better put it up, because guess what? Your wife is looking at you right. Your wife is looking at you right now for that W. Some of you better put up about 10 W's on this, so you can make sure you have a hot meal tonight. So yeah, but it's so true. You know, it's I'm telling you, it's so true. If you just you heed the instruction, take it in. You know, I'm not just saying, well, Rabbi Kefa told me I must listen to everything you say, honey, hunsy bunsy. I'm not saying that. But I am saying is that before you make a decision, before you come up with a decree for your family, leader of the house, make sure that you do take the assessment and take the, you know, opinion that's given to you of your wife. Is very, very important. Too many times it's been demonstrated that amongst the Judaism camp that women are seen as lesser, and that's totally not true. Chinese culture, they see it the same way. They see a woman as lesser. That's why if you're pregnant and you're having a baby girl, they aborted a lot of them, and they continue to do that under the sheets as well. So just take that to head and take that to heart, and really see yourself as of great value within the family of Israel. And if you look at our history, time and time again, it's proven. I mean, when we were wandering in the desert, you know, our forefathers were, because I didn't wander in the desert, by the way, but our forefathers wandered in the desert. It was a woman really was the bedrock and kept everything together in the form of a Miriam. And believe me, when she passed on into the next life, she truly was missed by the family, wasn't she? Luxury class, Shabbat Shalom to you. In this, just what Adam did, but this woman, the woman's perspective can be influenced. No doubt the female perspective is important. Oh, indeed. And I reiterate the point as well. Make sure you take everything into consideration, meaning the opinion of your wife as well. Make sure you understand that woman has voice, has great voice. And I tell you, a lot of great revelation can come out of a woman. I don't know if you know that. Luxury class says, my grandma was the mother I never had. Baruch Hashem. Yeah, don't get me started on grandmamas. Oh, my goodness. You're right, Luxury class, I tell you. The power of a woman is not underestimated within the family of Jacob. I just want you all to understand that. How many of you will affirm that statement with me? Put up a one if you understand what I just said. If you truth, the power of a woman is not underestimated in the family of Jacob. We don't underestimate that to offer your responses, because that's so very important to understand. I know there's been a lot of women here with us for a very long time. You know Hakohi, the great man that he is, guess what? He came from a woman. He came from his mama's lawyer, Baruch Hashem. And I know he will always remember that. He always honors his mother in every day of his life and everything that he does and all the actions that he takes and he continues to do. It's so very important that we all understand that. Is all of our greatness. And if you notice, you've been listening to what's going on with the president here in North America. What did he name his he's got a new policy. What is it called? I forgot it, but he named it something with greatness. And I was like, Baruch Hashem, we just finished the lecture on greatness. But he named it, bringing them out. I forgot what he has coined his, you know, the coming back of America out of the slumber and out of the this whatever lockdown. But he called it something with greatness in it. And I was like, Baruch Hashem, that's what it's all about. Because there's several things you must remember. Is that you can't keep a great person down. You cannot keep a great person down. You cannot keep a great nation down. Cannot be done. You may try to, you may attempt, but you will never keep a great person down. You will never keep a great nation down. That nation will always rise, and that person will always rise as well. So what's the key to it all, Miss Pahar? Is to always see yourself as great. See yourself as greatness because you are great. And you are greatness. That's so very important to understand. So, I would like to acknowledge all the mothers in the room, all the future mothers in the room, and all of the ladies of the house and women in general. I acknowledge you on this day and tell you that the family of Jacob is open arms to you, and we respect you and we honor you, and you do have a voice within the true family of Jacob. And that's so true. Now, I have another question for you this day. Now, in dealing with this parsha, just like I touched on it in the readings, a lot of this, you look at the book of Leviticus, and a lot of it don't pertain to us. It just don't pertain to the, average family member within the house of Jacob. A lot of this is just unique to a special breed, a special class from the house of Levi. And that's very important to understand. So this brings me in my segue to the next question. Who represents you? Or more importantly, let me say it like this. Who would you like to be represented by? Think about this for a minute. In Ebonics, they say, who you repping? that's how they say it. But who would you like to be represented by? In the greatest court of all courts. If they told you, they come up to you and say, okay, you're about to go before the greatest court of the land. And you can only get representation of one individual. Who would that person be? Would it be your mother? Would it be your father? Would it be your husband? Would it be your wife? I know it's kind of like this is almost like a almost dead giveaway, but really, it's really not. Hakoi said, that would be my mother. Who, if you had anybody you could only pick one person in the greatest courts, the highest court of the land. You could only have one person represent you. And you go before this case. And it's heavy. And there's been a lot of accusations hurled at you left, right, front, and center. Everybody coming at you from all sides. And you could only have one person represent you. Who would that person be? Who would you have representing you, family? For those of you listening via YouTube, some people says my mother. There's some people says the Kohen in the gate. Who would you have represent you? Now, it's not a trick question. I know some of you may be thinking about it because there's no wrong answer here. It's your opinion. Who would you want representing you? Think about that for a minute. Now, I'll tell you this. Now, in rephrasing the question, when it comes to the highest courts in the land, when it comes to the representative of the highest of all courts, of the highest of the most highest court. Now, for the family of Jacob, that's a no-brainer. Our representation within our history and even to this day has always been the Kohanim. When it comes to the spiritual side, who represents you in a case that's being held in the heavenlies? Think about this for a minute. Who should be there representing you? Now, because that's a big question, because, some people may not think what you may think they might be thinking. Because, let's face it, at the end of the day, when you look at our history, when you look through our history, you see that Moses, and I always call him Moshe, he was the greatest litigator for Israel, going through the history of Israel, wandering, and Israel being taken out of bondage and slavery from Egypt, or should we say the Hebrews, because they hadn't become Israel just yet. You see, so I think that's very important to understand. It's very, very important to understand. Is that your representation before the Holy of Holies has always and will always be. Yes, like I told you before, a lot of the book of Leviticus don't pertain to us because we're not in a special breed. But what we should be understanding, and my desire is for the family to understand, is the relevance and the importance of Israel. Not of Israel, but of the Kohanim. And our Queen mentioned this in his lecture a little bit. He talked about, you see, this is because, the priesthood played a pivotal role in the daily functions and the goings-on of the operations of the family. And that changed to this day. It's still the same thing. Although some may not perceive it that way, but it's just 2020 with planes, trains, automobiles, and flying cars. You see? It's the same situation for the family. Now, this all hinges on if you are a family member. If you embrace the family way of life, the family customs. It's so very important to understand that. Now, the phrase for me that came to me this week is a very important one, and I really stuck with me this week. And it really gave me strength. And that phrase is this. And tell me what you understand from this phrase. The phrase is this. As sure as the sun. As sure as the sun. Should I say sure as the sun? I've been using that, and it's really been a great motivator for me. Motivator. It's been a great inspiration, and it's given me great drive this week. Sure as the sun. I tell everybody that. Sure as the sun. Sure as the sun. What do you glean from that, family? Sure as the sun. And you have my permission to use it. Sure as the sun. Sure as the sun. How many of you know what I'm talking about when I say that? What's your opinion on what we're getting at here when that statement goes out? Sure as the sun. And that's very important in this time that we're in right now. As sure as the sun. You see, because what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about fear. We're going to recognize fear. Because fear is let's just say, it's the foundation for either great success or crash and burn failure. Fear, Mishpah. So we need to recognize fear. Now, I came up with this acronym. Now, I guess a lot of you don't understand what I mean by sure as the sun. Would you like an explanation on that? Sure as the sun. Sure as the sun. You like an explanation on that? How many of you like an explanation on that? Sure as the sun. Sure as the sun. Sure as the sun. Sure as the sun. I'm going to say it slowly, because I'm here in Texas and we do talk fast in Texas. As sure as the sun. Now, what I mean by this, what I mean by that is this. Just like the consistency of the sun coming up every day and setting every day, how sure I want to be with my life and what I want for my life, and nothing's going to change that. No situation, no backstabbing over here, no slander over there is going to change it. No situation, no corona, no Pomona, no Imona, no Ebola is going to change that. As sure as the sun. That's how sure I am in self. I'm as sure as the sun. Because the sun comes up every day consistently, doesn't it? How many days does the sun not come up? I mean, anybody tell me, oh, well, Rabbi, I have to disagree with you because the sun didn't come up on such and such day in 1922. No, it's sure as the sun. As sure as the sun. You're going to meet your marks and your desires just as sure as the sun. Tell yourself this. This is great energy for you, great motivation, great affirmation to really help you and help you push you on when sometimes, you can't get on. And you into doubt. Because I came up with this acronym for fear. Now, is everybody on board with me with that statement, as sure as the sun now? As sure as the sun. You're going to be married to that beautiful, loving wife just as sure as the sun. You're going to have that nice, beautiful home that you desire for yourself just as sure as the sun. If I know the sun's going to come up, just like I know I'm going to get that house. Just like I know I'm going to get that wife. Just like I know I'm going to get that husband. Just as sure as the sun. That's how confident you need to be in yourself and in self. Are you with me, Mishpah? If you're with me, put up a capital S for the sun. Because just as sure as the sun. The sun came up this morning at my house. It sure did. And I guarantee you, it came up at your house as well. That's how you need to put a guarantee on your affirmations, Mishpah. Just as sure as the sun. Just as sure as the sun, you're going to be a billionaire. Or should I say, Rabbi Simon, Hakohi, a trillionaire, Bukashim, throwing trillions around. Just as sure as the sun. For surety, Mishpah. You need to have that confidence. It's just consistent. The sun is consistent. And that's how sure I am in self. I don't care what comes. You know, we can have Hurricane Katrina. We could have these, what they call them, these things that blowing houses down. What do they call those things? Hurricane, they call them another one. Well, you know, yeah, Hurricane Alley. They call them hurricane, typhoons, whatever they call. But guess what? After that's finished, tornado. After that's finished, guess what? The sun will come out. And even in the eye of a hurricane, it's sunny. Tsunami, sun will come up. Sun is going to be up. Doesn't matter. So, oh, you may say, well, I have the tsunami in my life. I have this tornado that's blowing my life away. No, you just stand up and say, I'm as sure as the sun. Sure as the sun, everything's going to be fine. Sure as the sun, so what? I lost my house. I'm going to get a bigger one. Sure as the sun, oh, I'm divorced, but I'm going to remarry and have a wonderful relationship. And have wonderful relations just as sure as the sun. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Give thanks. Baruch Hashem. Just as sure as the sun. While I welcome Pharaoh to the room. Just as sure as the sun. This is how you be sure of yourself. Because, let me tell you, I came up with this acronym for fear. You know, I've been watching all these things going on. I sit back and I pop my popcorn and she's making me these peanuts, like these spicy peanuts with, my goodness, she puts peppers and bakes it all together and she adds a little sugar to it and she bakes the peanuts. My goodness, these best peanuts in the world. That's my new thing now. I tell you, wives are awesome. I tell you, so I'm eating peanuts now. I sit down and I eat my peanuts, my spicy peanuts. And I've been watching all of these things unfold. I just sit back and watch. I sit back and watch the greatness of people. And I want to encourage you this day. I wrote this down. I wrote this down. We must be ready. Because how many of you know when we come out, and I don't care where you are in the world, that there's going to be a new normal. The old normal won't come back. How many of you understand that? Put up a capital N if you understand that there's going to be a new normal. And a lot of things going to change. It's going to be a new normal in Israel. My family, we must prepare ourselves and be ahead of the game for this new normal. To talk for your responses. But there is going to be a new normal world over. I don't care if you're in France. I don't care if you're in the UK. I don't care if you're in China. I don't care if you're in America and Brazil. There's going to be a new normal, Mishpah. Now, within this new normal, family, it's very important that we do what? We take advantage of the new normal and become successful in the new normal. Great opportunities opening up. How many of you are seeing opportunities? There's great innovation. So you must, just as sure as the sun, you must be on the cutting edge of the new normal. You have to create and to innovate and to provide such great service to your environment, to your neighborhood, to your state. Because guess what? It's a new normal now. And you all are facilitators of that new normal, family. He talked about this one site, this genius little Hebrew cousin of mine came up with Bukashim. Family member of mine came up with. And he's only a teenager. And he came up with this awesome website to give you all the numbers. Because at the end of the day, words may lie to you, but numbers don't, right? Numbers don't lie, Mishpah. Believe me. The numbers don't lie. The numbers will always tell you the truth. Now, can you skew the numbers? Of course you can. But with numbers don't lie. 1 is a 1 is a 1, will always be a 1. 10 is a 10 and will always be 10. You can't manipulate 10. You know what I mean? But But by words that we say, sometimes people can take our words and manipulate them and make them say something that is not. And Hakohen posted that. It's NCOV2019.live for you listening via YouTube. Check it out. This young innovator with this great to put out the numbers to you, because numbers don't lie. Innovation from all over. And just the facts on the ground about what's going on amongst all the other rhetoric out there and all that talking blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, what we're going to come to realize is a new normal. Now, how can you be a facilitator with the great gifts that you have and the greatness that you are to assist in the new normal? You see, because it's not about, and we're going to get to my acronym of fear in a minute, because it's not about, I'm just waiting on my blessings on the other side when I get my mansion and all that. Stop all that. Your mansion is now. This is the time where you put in the work and you show and you leave a legacy of what the children of Israel did in 2020 going forward. Right now, you and I both know that we're writing history right now. Because for the majority of us in this room, we're that generation that woke up of Israel, right? We're that generation that came out of the slumber. You didn't get this from your mom and pop. God bless them. You didn't get that from mom and pop. Mom and pop was in Christianity and all kind of idolatry. And all these religions out here are leaving you half-baked, right? Leaving you like Hakohen talked about. Leaving you like a zombie, because I sure was a zombie at one time. How many of you could definitely empathize with that zombie statement that Hakohen made and that he was given and coming across? I tell you, put up a Z. I was that zombie, man. I was that zombie, and I knew I was a zombie. Because I kept telling myself, you know what? I'm going to tell you what. Something ain't right here going to this church. And I knew it wasn't right. I was like, I was a zombie, but I was a zombie with questions. You know what I mean? I was a zombie, but I was a zombie that had questions. I was like, wait a minute. There's got to be more to life than just this. And I realized that I wasn't even living. And that brings us back to our fear and the recognition of fear. And the recognition of fear. Now, I came up with an acronym for fear. You know what fear is? And I tell you, and Hokma gave me to this in the bathroom this morning. She said, you know what? We got to talk about fear. Because fear is hampering a lot of people. Now, when I say fear, what does fear mean to you? Let's put that out to the family right now. When I say fear, what does it mean to you? And you can write your opinions down right now, because it's just your opinion. There's no wrong answer. You're within the family. You know, no need to be shy. It's the Shabbat. It's our day of rest, our day to rejuvenate, our day to remember. Eddie says the absence of action. To top of that, Eddie's. And Atar says not being able to do things. Okay, that's good. That's good stuff. Well, what is fear? Fear. Adia says to overcome. What is fear? What does fear mean to you? When you say fear, what does that mean to you? To talk of your responses, though, because this is important. Because a lot of folks don't realize they have fear, but they have it. Yahudi says lack of trust. Elion says the unexpected. You know, Lion Princess says being afraid out of our own shadow. Yeah, what is fear? Because fear. To talk about that, Simha, I wrote this statement for you. I wrote because I couldn't text you because I wasn't on your friends list or whatever. I sent you like a text, but I wrote this statement telling you that you're on high in the valley. That's the statement I gave for you because I know you're in the valley. You're on high in the valley. Simha says doubt. Derek says not staying in the now. Hakohen says fear is something that you want. Fear is something that you wanted will not happen. Call it doubt as well. Oh, indeed, I could call it many things. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, because what I'm going to say to you is there's a lot of byproducts that come from fear that we're going to talk about in a minute. Now, let me give you my acronym for fear. Fear is this: free energy at rest. I'm going to say that again. Came to me this morning in the bathroom. Fear is this: free energy at rest. And that's just where I was at one time. Because get this. When I was at zombie, right? Now, first of all, let's take it from the free. Well, why are you saying free energy, Rabbi? Do you know that energy is free? How many of you know we're all energy? Everything on this planet is energy. Did I have to make this energy? No, I didn't. Did somebody have to give me this? I'm just energy. I am energy, right? Energy is free. But do you know what? When I was a zombie, I didn't realize that I was energy. How many of you were with me? I didn't have an understanding that I was an energy when I was a zombie. I didn't know I was energy. But I was energy. I just didn't know. I was ignorant to the fact that I was energy. Come on now. Stay with me. Stay with me with this. Energy is free. When you birthed into this world, you're energy. You came in this world freely. You see, Baruch Hashem. We are all energy. How many of you realize that? All of us are energy. Whether we understand it or not, that's a different. That's a subject for another day. That right there. Come on, everyone wants to go on there. That's a subject for a different day. But what you need to understand is that we are all energy. All of us. All of us are energy. How many of you paid for your energy? Anybody in this room paid to be energy? How many of you paid? Tell me how much you paid. Give me the invoice on how much you paid to be energy. So you understand why we get the free part? Freely you've been given, the Master said. We're all energy. So we got to realize, see, this is one of the biggest things. This is one of the biggest kryptonite to coming out of zombieism. If I can coin that phrase. You got Catholicism, you got Judaism, and guess what? You got zombieism. So one of the kryptonites to coming out of zombieism is what? Is knowing that you're energy. Knowing. You got to know that you are energy. You're free energy. Free energy. Now, you see a lot of countries doing that with conservation of the earth. When they want to conserve Mother Earth, what are they doing? They're looking at natural resources, the sun as free energy that can supply and our homes and businesses and all these other factories and all this other stuff. Free energy. It's free. It's there. Just as sure as the sun, right? Sun's going to come up, sun's going to go down. It's free. And you don't have to do anything for the sun. How many of you have to do something to help the sun come up in the morning? Anybody? Is there a certain mantra that you do to make sure that the sun comes up every morning? The sun can give a flying fluke. Whatever you do, it's going to come up anyway. That's how consistent it is. Just as sure as the sun. Just as sure as the sun. Baruch Hashem. Sun's going to come up regardless. So we have free energy. We have this free energy at rest. Now this is what happens. This is what happens. You know why we say the acronym FEAR is free energy at rest? Because this is what happens. When you don't realize that you have energy, then your energy just sits there. And it just rests. It doesn't do anything. So then, what can happen at that point? When you have free energy at rest, when you have fear. Simha says energy changes. Our thoughts are energy. Oh, indeed, Simha. To die for that. Your thoughts truly are energy. So when you're in the fear mode and you have free energy at rest, what happens to you when you rest? My goodness, it seems like everything can happen to you when you rest, right? I'm going to give you right now a list of byproducts. I'll go ahead and name one. What are the byproducts of fear? You don't want to know, and you guys can add to my list as well. Being experts in fearology. But one of the byproducts of fear is doubt. That's one of the byproducts of fear. You want to know another byproduct of fear? Weakness. This is what happens when you rest. When you rest and you don't know, out of ignorance, maybe you just don't know, you're not no energy, so you just at rest. Believe me, we can look at our lives. We were all in a state of fear at one time or another, the majority of us in this room. And what happened to us? We were weak. We were in doubt. This is what happens with byproducts of fear. Byproducts, Mr. Paul. Hakoi says, inaction leads to fear. Oh, indeed. You become weak. You become vulnerable. Isn't that what happened in society today? I'm telling you. There you go, luxury class, class A. That's one on my list too. You become paralyzed. So it talked about doing. Hey, you're not trying to do anything, Mishpah. When you in fear, a byproduct of fear is what? You become paralyzed. You just at rest. You're not doing anything. You don't take any action. Matter of fact, you let the action take you because you don't take any action. Rabbi Zakari talks about missed opportunities. Oh, indeed, you get neutral. You become vulnerable when you're in fear. Oh yeah, we're gonna rush you to these vaccines quick because you're scared and you're gonna take them and you're not gonna second guess these vaccines we're gonna put in your body because we got you running in fear. We got you running in fear. You don't understand you energy. You don't understand who you are. Baruch Hashem. You become depressed. That's a byproduct of fear. You become easily swayed. When you're in fear, you don't make no decisions. Everybody around you making decisions for you. The environment is making decisions for you. You don't make no decisions because you're in fear. You can't think in fear. You become thoughtless. Another byproduct of fear. You worry a lot. You worry body. That's a byproduct of fear. And bigger than big, you begin to worry. Oh, this ain't gonna happen. I can't do this. I'm not gonna make this deal. This not gonna happen. They're gonna take my house. Blah 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 blah. Worry because you're fearful. You become confused. Byproduct of fear, and you become afraid. I think we did this before. But remember when we went to Genesis chapter 3, verse 10, and we see Adam. Adam, my goodness, just like luxury class talks about, he listened to his wife. And now the byproducts will listen to his wife on this particular. Listen to his wife. He gets into trouble. The master, I'm paraphrasing. The master asks, "Hey, why you? I'm calling you where you at. Why you in this particular, this outfit that you just made up here?" And he said, "I was afraid." And then the master Yahweh said, "Well, who told you were afraid? Who told you were afraid?" Think about that for a minute. Where did that come from, that you were afraid? Because fear, a byproduct of fear is also being afraid. Now, you look at our books, and according to the King James Version, the most verses with fear. Anybody want to take a guess with the most verses of fear in our books? The book with the most verses of fear. Anybody want to take a guess? According to the King James Version of the Bible. Anybody want to take a guess? King Jimmy says it's the book of Psalms. So you want to look at the book of Psalms when it comes to fear. 61 verses in the book of Psalms related to fear. Now, how many of you understand? There is good fear and there is bad fear. How many of you get that? This is not a one-sided scale here. How many of you understand that? Do you know? Let me tell you something, Mishpah. I fear HaKohim. I fear him. I have a fear for HaKohim. How many of you have a fear for the Kohen? I have a fear for the Kohen. I have a fear for the Kohen. I do. I have a fear for the God of Israel. I fear him. I fear the God of Israel. Let's go to a verse. Let's pull one of the verses out of the book of Psalms. Matter of fact, let's pull two verses. Let's look at Psalms, and I'm reading from the Abrahamic-Faith Bible, Psalm chapter 72, verse 5. Listen to this one. They that fear you as long as the sun and the moon endure throughout all generations. They shall fear you as long as sun and the moon endures. Doesn't that sound like what I was just the statement that I was given this week? Sure as the sun, the sun will endure, believe me. Just as long as the sun and the moon keeps coming up and going down, they shall fear you that long. Fear for the Most High. I have a fear for the Most High's way of life that He's given us. I have a fear for that Torah that nobody would ever take away from me. You see, because guess what? When I was a zombie, I didn't fear the Torah. Listen, when I was a zombie, I didn't even fear God. I felt like me and God had a personal relationship. We had a relationship that I didn't have to fear him. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to fear him because, I didn't have to listen to him because he was always so gracious to me. I fell under, and so it didn't matter what I did anyway. You know what I mean? So I never really had a healthy, as the luxury class calls it, a healthy fear for God. I really didn't have that as a zombie. I didn't have that fear. You know what I did fear as a zombie? I feared hell. How many of you are with me? I had a fear of hell, but I really wasn't fearful of God. Think about that. Isn't that kind of asinine? But that's how zombies think. Because I thought like that. I was like, I don't fear God, but I fear going to hell, man. I fear that. And another thing I feared as a zombie in zombieism is I feared missing the rapture. How many of you would put up a capital R if you were at one time in that camp? Boy, I had a fear of missing it. I didn't want to miss the rapture, Hakoim. As a zombie, I did not want to miss the rapture. I did not want to get left behind. I didn't want to get left behind. I was like, man, how do I not miss the rapture? I had a fear of that. But I didn't fear God because God was so loving. Now, let's take that and let's put that down into earthly mother and father. How many of you in this room feared your father? Man, let me put up a couple of elves. Still fear my father today. Have a fear of your father. How many of you feared your father? How many of you actually had fear for your father? You feared him, man. Still fear him. Still fear him. He might be all grown up. I still fear him. I have a fear for my father. It's a fear. I fear him. It's yes, sir. I don't care if he's in a wheelchair. It's still yes, sir. Yes, sir. Whatever you say, sir. Yes, sir. You see, so again, that's the example. So shouldn't we have that kind of fear? If we for our physical fathers, shouldn't it even be more so for our spiritual father that we should fear our father? We should fear our father. Let's look at another verse there in Psalms. Psalm chapter 111, verse 10. I remember this one as in zombieism. I remember this one. The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. I'm going to stop right there. Listen, how many of you want to be wise? You better begin to recognize fear. It is. Listen to what the book of Psalms is telling us. The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. We must recognize what fear really is. The healthy fear and the unhealthy fear. Because majority of the time, out of ignorance or just because we just don't know, is that we roll with the unhealthy fear. Maybe I should title this lecture, 2 Types of Fear. Because there are 2 types of fear, right? There's the negative side of fear, there's the positive side. And believe it or not, I made the statement, how many of you fear the Kohen? I see the Kohen as my spiritual father. I tell you, if I was walking with my forefathers, the Hebrews, and was in Egypt, man, I would have a fear for Moses. I would have an awesome fear for Moses. Number one, our books tell us that Moses had this glow about him. Man, just looking at him, I'd be like, man, let me get down, bow down. That kind of fear. But we have a son of Aaron before us. And yet, the response when I said how many feared the Kohen was not that great. That's quite telling to me. They're quite telling to me. And silence is not golden here. It's important that you understand something. And I'm going to caution all of the family this day. I'm going to caution you of this. Is that going against or attacking the children of Israel, I'm going to caution you. Don't ever do that. I'm throwing this caution out, and I'm not throwing it to the wind. I'm throwing it out to each and every individual that can hear this lecture. In 2020 or in 2059, doesn't matter. I'm going to caution you. Going against the children of Israel is not a wise thing to do. Because the children of Israel have a fear for Yahweh. The children of Israel have wisdom. Because why? Let's read the rest of that verse first. Psalms chapter 111, verse 10. The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endures forever. Oh, gosh. His praise endures forever. Thank you, thank you. That's for y'all. His praise endures forever. You see, because this good fear, the type of good fear, is going to make you do. Luxury Class made a statement or gave us a great byproduct of the negative fear. It's paralyzation. It paralyzes you when you can't move. But you see, good fear will make you do. And not only do, but we have to do the command. This is why I have a high respect and a high reverence for the Kohen in the gate, because he teaches me how to do. And believe me, his application of his doing has been quite beneficial to me. It has come to pass. It has been fruitful. And it reminds me, and it takes me back. Do I need to go there? I might need to go there. I'm going to have to go there. I'm going to go back to the promise that we see in Deep. Given to Noah, Baruch Hashem. In Genesis chapter 9, verse 1, again, I read from the Hebraic Scrolls. I'm going to pick it up. We're going to read Genesis 9, 1. And so Elohim blessed Noah and his sons. Okay, let me stop right there. How many of you in this room are of the progeny of Noah and his sons? Anybody? Put up an N if that's you. Anybody in this? Because I want to make sure I'm talking to the right people. I just want to make sure that these people are firm. If you, because, I mean, no use in talking to the wall here. I just want to make sure that I'm talking to the right people. Believe me, I just want to make sure, because this pertains to a people now. Okay, here we go. So now for your responses. Genesis chapter 1 Genesis chapter 9 verse 1. So Elohim, Noah and his sons, and said to them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Be fruitful. Let me tell you, the instructions that I'm getting from the Quran have been fruitful. Did I just say that? And have also multiplied my family. Because now I have Nakshan running around here, 7 months old. Baruch Hashem. So the blessing of Noah and his sons applies to me and applicable to me today, and I'm going to affirm it. Sure as the sun. I'm going to affirm it. Look at verse 2 of Genesis chapter 9. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth and every bird of the air and all that moves on the earth and all the fish of the sea. They are given into your hand. My goodness. In this world today, has that not been changed around? Most people are fearing animals when the animals was fearing them. I'll explain this to my wife. We had a great opportunity of an example of that in my garden in the backyard. We got all kind of vegetables growing and plants, and I'll tell you, look like the Garden of Eden back in my garden. Baruch Hashem. But I showed her the skin. You know, snakes are starting to shed their skin now. So we had shed snake skin back there. And she said, honey, I'm afraid to come out and work in the garden because of the snake. I was like, don't fear the snake, honey. The snake fears you. Great opportunity to do some great lessoning, Shane y'all. And teaching my wife not to fear. I said, honey, don't fear the snake. The snake is scared of you. So she looked at it was a long piece of shedded snake skin. He had shed his skin. I was like, oh, don't worry. The snake he don't eat people. He don't bite you, but he's taking care of the ecosystem of our plants. Baruch Hashem. Eating the little insects and things like that. So it was a great opportunity for me to do some great teaching and really explain to my wife that we're not to fear. That all the animals of the earth should be fearing us. Think about that for a minute. But in some ways, we have become the animal, and the animal has become the person. Think about that for a minute. In some instances, I see this. I'm like, wow, you are so animalistic, and yet I see pets. Pets have become so human in nature. I'm like, wow. Some people act more animalistic than some humans. How many of you can agree with me? I'm seeing animal behavior in human beings. And I'm like, my goodness, what is this? What's going on here? There's been a flip-flop. My goodness. So family, this promise, this blessing applies to you. You're to be fruitful. You're to multiply. See, but these are the positive attributes or the byproducts of what I would consider the good fear. Is to be fruitful. Is to multiply. And these are things that you're going to see in your life. Physical manifestations of spiritual principle, or just our covenants, our way of life. Mishpah, it's just simple. We should be affirming these things and not on the negative side of the byproducts of fear. Weak, vulnerable, paralyzed, depressed, jealous, worried, confused, afraid. That's not helping you none. That is not helping you one jot or one tittle. It's not helping. So today you need to recognize fear. We need to recognize fear for what it is. And make sure we're on the right side of fear. Wow, that's a great title of a great lecture. The right side of fear. Title of a great book. Because I'm telling you, students of nature, world over, people are running in fear right now. People fear the coronavirus. I see it. How many of you see that every day? People are afraid of the coronavirus. I want to encourage you this day, Mishpah, don't be afraid of the coronavirus. That's the negative side of fear. You the coronavirus, and just like the statement that was made, the new normal, use the coronavirus to multiply. Use the coronavirus to be fruitful. Are you with me? Do you get where I'm going with this, Mishpah? It's beautiful, isn't it? It's so beautiful when we begin to see that fear, you know what fear is? Free energy at rest. You see, because, now let's look at that and apply that to the good fear. You see, when you rest in the Torah, my goodness, when you take and you rest in the Torah, and you bow down to the Torah, and you submit to the Torah will raise you up and lift you up and make you the greatest. And whatever greatness you want, that's what you will be. Because you will affirm it for yourself. You desire that for yourself. And that's what it will be. Hakohi said something that was so powerful in his lecture. He talked about, you people, family, we have the ability to write way into wherever we want. We can write it. I'm paraphrasing. We can write and we can be whatever we want to be. We just got to write it. We got to envision it. You got to affirm it. You got to visualize it. And so it will be. And so it is. That's beautiful. That right there is life. Because when I was a zombie, I realized that I didn't have life. I was like, man, I'm a freaking robot. That's what I used to tell myself. I'm just a freaking robot. We're just going through the same old thing every church Sunday. Same old thing. I'm like, this is freaking robot stuff. I'm a human being. I'm not a freaking robot. I had no life as a zombie. In zombieism, you have no life. Fear recognized. As sure as the sun, Mishpah, you too find the fear, the side of fear that brings, fruitfulism your way, that brings multiplication your way, not division. Not division. And you need to assess your life, yourself, and see, well, what side of fear am I really on? Let me look at myself. Let me look at what's being manifested in my life right now and see what side I'm on. I don't care what comes my way. As sure as the sun, I'm already successful. I'm already a winner. Let me tell you something. I'm caution you. I'm talking from my own personal life. People have come against me and they have failed at my feet. And I don't say that to be braggadocious, but I say that because I sit and I fear the Torah. I fear the Kohen, and I fear the words of Moses, and I fear the Most High. Yeah, I fear him. And so what does he do in return? He protects me. He multiplies me. He makes me fruitful, Baruch Hashem, because I have that healthy fear. The two sides of fear, which is being demonstrated in your life. And it's easy to see. All you have to look at is you have to look at the byproducts of your fear. Look at it. Free energy at rest. What side are you resting on? Are you resting on the positive side? Or are you over there on the negative side? And all you got to do is begin, go down the laundry list. Am I weak? Am I vulnerable? Am I paralyzed where I don't take action? Am I depressed? Am I easily swayed by every Tom, Dick, and Harry and Jane that comes out there? Do I worry a lot? Am I confused? Am I afraid? Or am I multiplying? Am I fruitful in everything that I touch? I am fruitful in everything that I touch. I am multiplying in everything that I put my hands on. Do you understand the two sides of fear now? You with me? Because there are two sides. That negative side of fear will leave you afraid. And you'll see that time and time again throughout our history. Our forefather said, and it's told in our books, I was afraid. That's the byproduct of negative fear, not positive fear. What's the byproduct of positive fear? I will do. We will hear, we will do. That's what attracted the God of Israel, the creator of all things, to this certain people. And we are part of the family church. Because you know what? Their byproduct wasn't, I'm so depressed, y'all. I'm so confused. What I do? Do I serve you? Do I go? And what do I do? No. We will do. We will hear. That's the byproduct of positive fear. Is that you're going to do. You got to do what's right, though. Where do we get that guidance? That's why I asked you earlier. Who do you want representing you? Somebody that's going to tell you to do what's right in the sight of God. What's right in the sight of humanity. Does it matter if you come out of zombieism, Catholicism, Judaism, Christianity? At the end of the day, if somebody's hungry, they just hungry. Does it matter? Oh, I'm not going to feed these people because they're Muslims. Oh, I'm not going to feed these people because, they're in their Christianity, jumbo. What? At the end of the day, they're human beings. It's God's creation. Don't be run by these negative sides of fear, jealousy, envy. Vulnerability, worry, confusion. Assess yourselves. It's a great time to do some great assessment. Understand. And understand that there's two types of fear out there. There's two sides to it. You just got to choose what side you want to be on. And if you look at the book of Psalms, the Psalms in dealing with fear talks a lot about the positive side of fear and how, you need to, honor God, honor your Father, and fear the Most High. Bow down to Him. Submit to the covenant. To the covenants, Baruch Hashem. That's why we say, when you come into the Commonwealth of Israel, is that you have to be willing to do what? Uphold. And you have to be willing to take on the yoke of the Torah. Many people say they do it, but then they don't do it. They say, but they don't do it. So then what does that make you? Does that make you a part of the family? Just because you say it? No, the positive side of fear will tell you have to do it. It's going to be shown in your actions. That's what's important to understand. The way of life for the Jews today are the actions. What do they do? Because that's what people see. Even in your manifestations, even in meeting your marks, is because people are going to see that you have that big house. People are going to see that you have that new car. People are going to see that you have that boat. People are going to see that you have that wife. People are going to see that you have those children. That you are fruitful and that you are multiplying the earth. This is why I say, and I'll say it again, as sure as the sun, we're coming into an age of a new age, a new normal. Normal is going to be totally different. There's a lot of creativity and a lot of innovation that all of you bring to the table as the family of Jacob to assist these nations. Not to protest, but to assist these nations during this time. These nations great again. Baruch Hashem. To make these nations greater. Not to sit here and protest and to talk down the leaders that God has put in these places in positions of authority, when we're told that we need to pray for them. Raise them up to source energy, to God, to the creator of all things. Pray that they get wisdom and guidance to guide a nation, to guide a people. Not protest, but pray. Meditate. Meditate for the goodness of your nation. See and envision your nation as positive, not negative. Be a participant. Don't protest. Be a participant. Get off the sofa. Decide not to take the free money sitting on the sofa for a few weeks and end up losing your job. That's another scenario they're talking about. All these people, well, I'm just not going to go back to work and I'm going to just keep collecting unemployment. And you know what they're going to realize? After the unemployment time runs out, they're going to realize they're going to try to go get employed after being unemployed and realize that they don't have a job anymore because somebody else got off their backside and took the job and went out and did. I don't mean to be biased to America, but America is a great shepherd nation. It's just the greatest shepherd nation on the face of this earth. I don't mean to be biased to you, Oliver. Vive la France. I love French blood runs through my veins, Oliver. Just to let you know. But all of you should be saying the same things about your countries as well. The greatest country. Proclaim it. Affirm it. And then go out and do something to help it. Be great. And quit looking at all the negativity that they put out there. Oh, these people doing this, blah, 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 blah. No, go out and do something positive. Be the light to the nations that we're commanded to be. That's our commandment, to be the light, not to go knocking on everybody's door, asking them, you need to repent. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Repent. That's not our remit. We're just to go out and do great things for our nation. Be a blessing to our nation. Because we're a fruitful people. We're people that we multiply in everything that we do. Everything that we do multiply. We're not division, not in our contracts. It's not in our covenants. The covenants is not to divide. Our covenants is to multiply, to be fruitful. That's what we need to be doing in this world. So I would encourage us all to look at that and continue to look at that. You know, the two sides to fear. What side are you on? And really do an inward assessment in your meditations, in your prayers, whatever you call it, in your quiet time, when you get in your closet. Just do an assessment and see, well, you know, how can I improve? And how can I be an improvement to my nation? How can I be an improvement to my family? How can I be an improvement to my neighborhood? How can I be an improvement to my city, to my state? What can I do to improve it? Not shouting and shooting it down, spreading gossip here, there, and everywhere. If we would just focus and put our focus on our business, if we would mind our business and be about our business. What is your business? Whatever your business, whatever you desire for yourself. What do you desire for yourself as your business? Focus on your business. And quit worrying about other people's business. You're too big with your business to be worried. Don't be a busy bee. Be about your business, Mishpah. And I'm going to caution you, I'm closing, but I'm going to caution you again, Mishpah. Do not go against the children of Israel. You will fail every time. I'm looking at my life, and all the opposition that has come against me in my life, they've all been shot down. Do not come against the children of Israel, because you don't know who's standing behind us. I'm telling you, you do not know who's standing behind us. How you speak, watch your actions, and watch your doings family. I'm just telling you this. I'm putting it out to the family. I'm not talking to the Gentiles out there. I'm talking to the so-called family out here. You be very careful how you come against the children of Israel. Tread on eggshells. Because you don't know who's standing behind us. I'm telling you, every single time opposition has come against me, they've been shot down, and I give thanks to them. I don't say that, and I don't say that to be haughty. I don't say that to be high. I say it to be humble. And I say it in all humbleness. You better be very careful. You better be very careful. And I'm making this warning to the family. That's who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the family. Forget the Gentiles. They're ignorant. They don't know what they do. Your family. You better be very careful. You come not against the children of Israel. Because we have a power behind us that you don't want to meet in the dark, and you definitely don't want to see them in the day. So you be very careful. So that's just a word of caution from the tribe of Judah. You be careful, family. Don't attack the children of Israel. Don't come against the children of Israel. Israel, you shouldn't be coming against the family in the first place. Because don't take that shalom for a weakness. Don't take the peace of a Hebrew for a weakness. Because it'll come back and bite you in the backside. Because then you'll see the lion. You won't get Simba. You're going to get Lion King. Be very careful. I'm just putting it out there to caution. I'm putting it out there to caution. If it applies to you, you better take heed. The wise will understand. The foolish will not. But just let you know. And you know what I'm instilling in you this day? The fear. Positive side of fear in you. Just letting you know. Just to let you know. And on that note, I'm going to wrap up this lecture and wish you all a great 6 days of labor ahead. My desire is that you all do great and marvelous things, and that you all be productive, and you all go out and be fruitful, and that you go out and be and multiply in every aspect and area of life where you want to multiply. And all you women in the room, hey, happy Mother's Day to all of you. Behind every great man is a strong woman. Baruch Hashem. So I give thanks. I'm going to pass it over to Kohen. We're going to leave it open for any remarks, any comments, any questions you may have. This is the time to do it. Over to you, Kohen. You all have a great Shabbat, great 6 days labor ahead.
Todah for that, Rabbi Kefa. Yeah, and a great happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. My mom's, passing date was a few days back this month. And, of course, I remember my mother. And, my mother's name means to be loving kindness, to be merciful. So I always want to be remembered the person who gave loving kindness and mercy to people. So, so my name will be updated, my mother's name will be updated in the stars, for having given birth to a son that was, that was merciful to people and not critical of everybody. So this is, why it's important to remember your parents, and if they're alive, of course, go visit them. If they are past, then still you got to remember them. They say, remember the righteous dead. It's better than remembering the righteous, the unrighteous people. So having said that, coming back to, as I was speaking earlier regarding the chakra system, I want to give you a little example, which I spoke about earlier, of an unbalanced chakra. If you have a throat chakra that is unbalanced, throat chakra is one of the 7 major chakras that we have, which is in your throat. A number of things can happen to you, and you can tell very easily if somebody has got a unbalanced throat chakra. That person will speak a lot. They will be very talkative. They will be yappity, 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 yap all the time, and they will not give you opportunity to speak. Somebody like that actually has an unbalanced throat chakra. And next time you see somebody like that, you will know. And there is a way to balance that as well, to bring it into harmony. Also, when your throat chakra, that's what we call active. That's an overactive throat chakra when the people is talking too much. And the underactive throat chakra would be where the person cannot communicate, they're timid, they are not able to express themselves. So that would be an underactive throat chakra system. And in order to balance it, the throat chakra has a color sky blue. That is the color of the throat chakra. And in order to balance it, the best thing to do is to put a sky blue color. Now, if you're a laptop person, like if you're staring at your screen all day, is to make your background solid, sky blue color. So you look into that color whenever you're minimizing your applications, or you put a blue, maybe a water bottle or something sky blue in front of you that you can stare into. When you stare into something sky blue, you actually are harmonizing and activating and balancing that chakra. So that's a great thing to do, that is to bring it into balance. And once your chakra is in balance, then of course, the rest of the system also tries to balance itself out. Because if one chakra is out of balance, then it puts everything else out of balance too. So take that home. This is a free gift for you to learn. Take it home to balance. Make sure that you apply the correct balance, and that you are able to look at somebody and immediately tell if their chakra is imbalanced or not. And it's very easy to tell about yourself, because you are your own, I guess, system, how should I say, monitor. You can monitor yourself, and you can tell which of your chakras is in balance and which ones your chakras are out of balance. So that's one way to tell, just through the throat chakra. And then similarly in other chakras, which I'm not going to go through here, but that's just to give you an idea, is what we're dealing with over here. So with that in mind, this is why sometimes, it doesn't mean that things will always fail, but sometimes it means that things will get slow, because maybe one of your chakras is out of balance. So you've got to balance it. So I would encourage you to go and check the colors of the chakras, and make sure that you look at those colors. Like a rainbow, you can put a rainbow in front of you. They're nice, different colors, and they are different colors of your chakras. So to give you an example, the root chakra has a color red. So red activates and balances it. So it's always good to have something red which will activate and balance it out, and so on and so forth. So with that, I'll let you all go and and prepare your dinners in this lockdown mode. But as everybody is rushing to produce vaccines, I would not be depending on vaccines to save your life. Just as our president said, that if the vaccines are here, fine. If they're not here, it doesn't matter, because we'll pass. This too will pass, and we will come through fine. We'll come through stronger. So we don't need to worry about vaccines so much, because as you know, viruses can mutate, can change, and so therefore doesn't necessarily mean that a vaccine will always work. If the virus didn't change and the vaccine worked, then that's great. And if the virus changes and the vaccine stops working, and all it ends up being is a big game of big pharma trying to make big dollars. That's all it turns out in the end. But really, essentially, God has given us everything within our system to be healthy and to be able to fight any disease and virus out there. So make your system healthy. Put an affirmation, and that affirmation says that I have a very powerful immune system. And you write that affirmation for yourself. I have a very powerful immune system. And when you write that affirmation for yourself and you say it daily, this is not a one-time occurrence. You don't write it once and say it 21 times and then stop. You write it once and you say it every day, or you listen to it every day, that I have a powerful immune system. And when you keep listening to that, guess what? You will have a powerful immune system, and no virus will come into your body. So this is why it's very important to remember that of course, pharma, big pharma is a business. Hospitals are a business. Doctors are a business. Don't think that they are there to treat you and be kind to you. Their whole idea of somebody spending 6 years in medical college and lots of money is so that they can make money. And pharmaceuticals are there to make money. Hospitals are there to make money. So don't ever misguide yourself into believing that hospitals are charitable institutions. They are not. They're not there for charity. Doctors are not there for charity either. So as long as you remember that you are your own best protector in life, is what you do is what drives everything else. So you should know that. And some people are naive and they don't understand it, but many people out there do understand that you should not be naive, and doctors are not gods, and neither is pharmaceutical companies God. They're just there as another business, and their whole ideology is built around how many medicines can we sell and how much money can we make. So you have the power. It doesn't matter if it's inflation, deflation, recession, hyperflation, whatever. You have the power to write your own life. And that is a magnificent power in your disposal. And that is a perfect law. The Torah is there to help you. And you can be the king of your life. So be the king that you are. Hashem Yahweh, have a great Shabbat. Have a great week ahead. Until next time, Shabbat Shalom. Shalom Shalom to you.